Hey my friends, welcome back to a new video. Today I have a special message for all the chosen ones, old souls, wanderers, all of you who've chosen to follow your inner calling, your inner guidance that is guiding you through the greatest possible transformation of your life. Science, you're more awake than you think. This is an interesting topic because often when we're moving through the process of what we call a spiritual awakening, which is an inner transformation that occurs when an individual starts to detach from social norms and begin to explore their true selves and their connection to the world around them. During this process, you may become aware of how disconnected society has become from the essence of life, which can be quite confusing and often hard to understand. So, as you delve deeper into your journey, you start recognizing your inner calling and uncovering the purpose behind your natural talents and what brings you a generous sense of joy. There's a huge purpose behind the sensations and meaning of joy, like why a certain thing brings us joy. There's a huge meaning behind all of that. And as we're beginning to understand more of that process, we're actually spiritually awakening to our greatest possible potential. But often when we're moving through that process, we may start to think that there's something wrong with us, like that we're going crazy, or sometimes we think that we don't belong where we are. So I want to give you some signs that you can recognize that actually you're much more awake than you think. And the first sign to notice that is that you may find yourself more present, or you start to notice that in the midst of the day or in the midst of certain chaos, you start to see tiny little details of whatever is happening. Like you notice a certain pattern, or you look around and you notice the movement of nature, and you may recognize like you were not functioning that way before, like something is changing. You're beginning to be more present, more attuned to this present moment. So what is happening? Your consciousness is expanding and you're beginning to be more present, to notice more details. So you can also recognize what kind of set of behaviors is causing the results you're perceiving and receiving, and what to change in your life so the results in your life can change, the experiences can change. You may start to feel a deeper connection to your environment, especially nature, animals, people, and you may become more attuned to the energy around you. If you feel like that, it's a sign that you're more awake than you think. You may think like that it's nothing special, but actually it's a huge shift that is happening within you, and it is allowing you to change your life in a positive way. So practice anything that helps you to be more present with yourself, to quiet down the noises of your mind. Meditation is a great practice. If you're wondering what kind of meditation, the one that will help you to calm down your nervous system, like heart coherence meditations. Meditations where you focus on your internal space and you awaken the light within you. Those are meditations that will help you to know yourself much better and learn to quiet down your mind. It will be so powerful, especially at the times when you feel a bit more stressful, or at the times when there's a lot of chaos happening around you. When you're able to disconnect from all of that, your intuition will guide you to the right insights and moments of clarity when you will just know what to do. The second sign that you are more awake than you think is that you have a deeper emotional awareness. You have a deeper understanding of your triggers, of your, like I said before, behaving patterns and limiting beliefs. This one is so important, and often it happens to people when they start to become aware of their emotional wounds. They start to become aware how their past influenced themselves in the present moment. And we notice, oh, I'm behaving similarly to my parents, or I'm feeling similarly to my parents. You may not know why, but you're beginning to understand that all the feelings, all the emotions, all the patterns are contagious. So what we're doing, we are recognizing, oh, this is not even mine, right? But at the same time, you're beginning to understand who you are, like you're that essence experiencing all the sensations. And why it is important to notice that process, if we recognize that we are not our emotions, we can read them much better, right? We can get into the meditative state and we just notice, oh, I feel something right now. And you're in tune with that emotion. And by in tuning with it, you're releasing that stored energy. And that's something that we may call a shadow work. That's the concept developed by a great psychologist, Carl Jung, who developed the concept of shadow work, where you begin to notice the shadow aspect of you, like the part of you that most people are hiding from the world. You're now digging deeper into yourself, so you begin to understand better your emotional system. If this is happening to you, that you're recognizing your emotional wounds, or you may call this process a greater awareness of your inner child, deeper emotional awareness, deeper awareness over your limiting beliefs. It means that you are much more awake than you think. The third sign is an increased compassion. You feel increased compassion, and you understand that act of kindness always sparks another. Doesn't matter what kind of people surrounds you. When you become more kind towards others, you will start to notice that more kind people are finding you. Like, I began noticing those things some years ago when I went through this process of awakening, and I truly started working on myself. I've started changing the way I'm living my life. And what I've noticed when I was doing certain like official work, when you take care of certain papers, or you go on the bank, or you buy a car, or certain things, where you need to take care of official papers, I've noticed that wherever I go, I always work with people who generally want to help me. And that was a big change that I've experienced, something that almost never happened before. And we all know that usually people complain about what kind of service they've received from those people. But suddenly I've started meeting more and more and more kind people. That's what happens when we increase a sense of compassion. It's usually a natural process when we start moving through the spiritual awakening. We just become more compassionate towards ourselves. We become more kind towards ourselves. We start noticing how to keep things in harmony in our lives, how to kind of nurture the balance and nurture ourselves the way we want to be nurtured. By doing that work, we start filling up the cup of life, right? And it helps us to become more compassionate. This is a great work that kind of generates transformation, that can help you to become who you're meant to be. So you may start to feel a deep sense of empathy and compassion for others. You recognize the interconnectedness of all of us. You notice that like Native Americans said, that we're all connected on that great web of life that is produced by the source. A greater mind or divine mind, or however we want to call it. We're all like extension of that source, which makes us connected. And when we look around us, everything emanates from that source, so everything is connected. And when we understand that, we know that we want to treat others like we want to be treated, right? So we stop projecting what we don't want to see on the world to others. We become more aware. It doesn't mean that you start holding back your anger or any kind of emotions, but you become more open and more honest, and you express why you feel that way. You don't just hold back, but you say, well, your act is making me angry. Can we work on that? Can we work on that together? Why you're constantly so mean to me? We become a bit more honest. And of course we work on our triggers, but we also let others know what is bothering us, what we don't like to see. So we can kind of set boundaries that can protect our internal peace and a sense of harmony, right? It is a beautiful realization that can awaken in an individual. So if those things are happening, you're much more awake than you think. Because often people connect spiritual awakening to deep mystical experiences, which can often be a byproduct of that. But it doesn't mean that if you are not having any profound mystical experiences, that you're not spiritually awakening. Usually, the whole purpose of that spiritual awakening is to awaken back to yourself, to notice the purpose of your life, to notice the purpose of your natural gifts and talents. And if you need on that process profound mystical experiences, you will experience them. If you need an understanding of your past lives, you will experience that. But if you don't need it on this present phase, you will not experience it, and you don't need to force it, because it will start happening naturally according to your journey, according to what you need to experience. So rather recognize what is awakening within you right now, what you're beginning to be more familiar with, what you're noticing, like what is happening, how your life is evolving, where you're struggling the most, and what can you do about it. The fourth sign that you are more awake than you think is that you're experiencing more synchronicities. This is a common sign. You notice meaningful coincidences, or what we call synchronicities, in your life. Like usually, when you're thinking about a certain person and then that person writes you a message or calls you, or you're thinking about a certain topic and then a book finds you out of nowhere. Sometimes you go into a bookshop, bookstore, or library, and something happens that exact book that you need to read falls out of the shelves, or sometimes really interesting things happen. And I came across so many incredible books completely spontaneously, intuitively, and those were the best books I've ever read. So if those things are happening to you, those are what we call synchronicities. Often to me happens like when I'm kind of mentally wandering while I'm walking through the city or something like that. And then like something grabs my attention, like a short sentence on a shirt of someone. But that sentence is really, really meaningful. It often happens to me that way. But what happens after that, I experience goosebumps, or I experience a really intense energy in my body. Like sometimes there's a sense, there's a sentence like be positive or something like that. But then it sparks a great or a high energy in your body, and you feel, oh, yeah, I was a bit lost in my worries, how often it happens to you, something like that, or maybe there can be an advertisement or something like that, but you just grab a short sentence that can be really meaningful to you. Those are the weird coincidences that we call synchronicities. The fifth sign that you're more awake than you think is that you're craving more solitude, and you're also providing it to yourself. Why it is important? Well, it's hard to know yourself if you're constantly surrounded with noises, right? Surrounded with people, surrounded with everything. So you start to feel like you want to be more alone. And why it is important? Well, sometimes when we're alone, we recognize a deep inspiration for something. Like when I'm alone, I always have a great time for introspection. I have a great time for reflection of how I'm living, what is going well, what is not going the way I would like, what can I change, where am I losing the balance, what is kind of out of harmony, and things like that. And I only notice those things when I'm alone, when I take time for myself. But being alone doesn't always mean that you need to kind of move yourself out of society. Sometimes you just need to move yourself away from your family members or from your friends or from your community and just go somewhere else where you're in a group of unknown people. Whatever works for you. If you feel like you need more solitude, provide it to yourself, because your soul is calling you to recognize something deeper, like you're awakening even more. Something is calling you, and you can only notice what it is if you take time for yourself and listen to yourself. That's why solitude is so important on the spiritual journey. I've made many videos why solitude is so important, and you can find them on my channel. I can make more of them. Write in the comment section if that's something you're interested in. Let me know. The sixth sign is really interesting, that often happens to people who are moving through the spiritual awakening, but they completely misunderstand it. You feel completely lost and alone. And when people feel lost and alone, they think they're not awakened. They think that they're not ascending vibrationally. But the truth is that most people are lost and feel lonely, but they are pretending to be happy and are distracting themselves with entertainment and constant consumption of everything. What happened to you? You became aware of that collective pattern, because it is a collective pattern, and are now beginning to heal it. But in order to heal something, we firstly need to become aware of it, right? So if you've become aware that you're completely lost in your life and alone, you're not alone, you just feel lonely because you've detached yourself from maybe fake friends, or maybe from family members who are not seeing your potential, who are not seeing you for who you truly are. And maybe you've now separated yourself from those people for some time. You feel a bit lonely because you've been used to have people around you all the time. And you feel lost because you have a lack of sense of direction, because whatever direction you had in the past is just not meaningful for you anymore. If you feel like that, it means that something greater is awakening within you, and you need to notice what it is. There's a sense of purpose. You may start to feel a deep calling, something that during this COVID 2 years or 3 years process happened. Many people during this time, because of lockdowns, they had more time to be with themselves. Many people, that's something I've noticed around me. Many people begin to experience a sense to do something they were doing in their childhood. Many people begin making art once again. Many people begin taking care of plants and things like that. Something that was completely out of their ordinary lifestyle. And for some people, it was so profound that they've completely shifted their lives with that. And other people did it for some time and then they got back to their old lifestyle. But usually, we only become aware of what is truly calling us if we take time for ourselves. And we need to feel lost so we can find ourselves, right? We need to feel lonely so we notice that we are never alone. And how it works? Well, when you learn to have a great time with yourself, you will notice that all you need is you to be happy. All you need is you to be fulfilled. And once you find that greatest possible version of yourself, you learn how to nurture yourself so you can stay there more often. And once you start to nurture yourself so you can stay there more often, you will also start seeing bigger meaning of your life. You will start to see a sense of purpose, like something you truly want to do. And once you will start doing it, it will become more important to you. Like for me, making these messages, making my art, helping others, writing, whatever form that inspires me to express what I feel is something that to me provides a great sense of purpose. And as we start doing that, we create a mission out of it. Eventually, we make hopefully a certain financial income with that work, so we can start making living out of doing something we truly love to do. And once we start doing all of that, we start meeting people who are doing something similar, and that's where we start meeting same-minded people. So it's not necessary that the whole process is like I've described it, but this is a common pattern that happens to many people who awaken themselves from the illusion of the matrix. So if you feel lost and alone, know that this is the part of that process. Recognize where you feel naturally drawn to, and make sure that you're fasting your mind from unnecessary information in this phase, from social media as much as you can. You can fast on food as well, like take care of your diet, take care that you're eating right, make sure that you're staying active, that you find a certain activity that provides you a great sense of groundedness and joy, right? So you can find beauty in movement, because it will help you to channel your stored energy so you can experience more life force, right? If this is happening to you, it's a sign that you're more awake than you think. For all the chosen ones, right, those who choose to follow their calling, for all the old souls, the wise ones, right? Sometimes we may feel lost because we may feel like we don't belong here. But as soon as we notice why we are here, we may start to feel really inspired to use what we have and what is calling us, to improve our skills, or to remember what we need to know so we can share this with the world, right? So whatever can help you from this video, I hope you found a great value in it, and I hope you've enjoyed in today's painting process. I'm sending you all lots of love, blessings, and power, my friends. To all of you who would like to support my art, you can find it in our Etsy shop, AttractPassion. The link is also in the description of this video. If this message resonates with you, hit the like button and subscribe to this channel. It helps the algorithms to push this message to more of those kind who need to hear it. Thank you so much for that. Stay beautiful, stay creative, stay magnificent. Until next time, one love.